Welcome to IBEX 2024 in Tampa, Florida, the biggest boat building expo in the country. If there is a part or component that builds any boat, it's here. But this specific video is about electric outboards, what we saw from low to high, new innovations, and things coming through the pipeline. Stay tuned and check it out. We saw this motor lingering around last year in IBEX, but there wasn't a whole lot of questions answered. It was just kind of out there looking pretty with nobody around. But this time we finally found a rep to give us the low on this thing and when it's coming out. This is a 48 volt system putting out 6 kilowatts of continuous power, meaning the thrust equivalent will be pretty equal to that of a 9.9 gas outboard. It's got its own power tilt and trim integrated into the motor mount. It takes third-party batteries and multiple chemistries, and it's got this awesome LED. The whole look to it is very unique, so A+ for aesthetics for sure. But there's another one that is eerily similar to this motor, and it's likely because they think they share the same technology. But either way you look at it, Tohatsu is in. They finally came out with the Alaris, and it is a very nice, slick looking 6 kilowatt, 9.9 horsepower equivalent. Got power tilt and trim, brilliant aesthetics, great technology, everything you'd ever want in something like this. Although I don't know how it's going to compete against some of the other ones that produce the same amount of power for a whole lot less, but I guess we'll just see how Tohatsu and Ilmor fare in the market. This class is really good for extra large dinghies, sailboats, and even pontoon boats. I'm sure we'll start seeing these on several. But I think the current leader in all the electric outboards within that power range is clearly still ePropulsion's game. They've got their Navy series for 6 and 9 horsepower equivalents, the Spirit 1.0, the 3 horsepower equivalent, and even this beast, the X12, and they also have the X40, which wasn't here, but these are the highest producing motors that ePropulsion has that still have a reasonable voltage level where it's not crazy. They only have the X12 here, but they also have an X20 and an X40, and the amount of propulsion they push in equivalent to gas outboards is pretty good considering they are only 96 volts. And so they're filling a pretty specific niche because there's a whole lot of electric outboards out there that run on a 48 volt system and a whole lot that run on 300 to 400 volts on super proprietary batteries, but not a whole lot within that Goldilocks zone and in this power range, and also offer advanced accessories and connectivity settings. It seems to be a hard range to tap into, but ePropulsion has done it. They're not the only ones to have done it, but I think they're probably going to put out the most reliable system because just how the rest of their motors are and their standards for producing anything. But I think the crowd favorite and my personal favorite is actually this motor, the E-Lite. It is a 1.5 horsepower equivalent, and it is extremely lightweight and portable. It's able to be stuck literally anywhere. It probably won't push a sailboat, but it'll push your 8, 10, or even 12 foot dinghy just fine through the water and the wind. And at $999, it is the cheapest electric outboard here. So if you're looking for a much more attainable, cost-effective, high density of value motor, a small child could take this thing and put it on the boat and take off. It comes on and off very easily, and you can put it just about anywhere because it's really just not that big. But it does produce a sufficient amount of power to be very effective, and we are on a sub 13 foot dinghy here, my son and I pushing through the wind and some chop. But a line of outboards is equally, if not in some ways more impressive. It comes from a company who I wasn't necessarily sure how serious they were going to take this electric outboard game, but they have taken it to new heights. And who is it? You guessed it, Mercury. Already well established as one of the most dominating outboard manufacturers ever. They currently have 5. They have the 7.5E all the way up to the 110E. Of course, they're filling that middle niche with that still smaller voltage amounts that is really important. So to get a little bit more detail on these motors, we just went ahead and talked directly to the Mercury reps themselves. This is what they had to say.
So we've got 3 motors on display here, our 7.5, our 35E, and our 110E. What's not on display is the 20E, which is part of this family, the 75E, part of this family. But real quick, touching on nomenclature, 7.5E, so that's 750 watts of the prop shaft. 35E, that's 3.5 kilowatts of the prop shaft. And 110E, that's 11 kilowatts of the prop shaft. So direct conversion of horsepower at the prop shaft, 1, 5, 15. But this accelerates like a 3.5. This accelerates like a 9.9. It's 15. For the 7.5, we've got the battery in the cowl itself. Pops out, usually. And then with higher power motors, we've got remote batteries back over here. You need 2 of these to hit full power. So we target for all of Avator at least 1 hour's worth of runtime at full power. If you back that off, depending on the vessel, you can get a lot more. So if it's on, let's just say, a shallower hull type, that's more hydrodynamic than a pontoon. You can get as many as 5 hours with 2 of those batteries. Back it down to 25%, you're going, yeah, pretty much. So it's all of these are 48 volt system, 93 pounds a piece. This is our 1 kilowatt hour battery pack that pairs with a 7.5. Then you've got your 2.3 kilowatt hour pack, which pairs with the 20 and 35. But the 20 and 35 could also use the 5.4s on the back. And this is our power center.
Having that type of power diversity all at 48 volts is very impressive. Hats off to Mercury for their new motor line. Now, moving on to the bigger stuff. Last year, Vision Marine, in my opinion, had the most impressive electric setup, period, featuring their 180E, which was the most powerful outboard at last year's IBEX show, to my knowledge. But also not falling too far behind the Vision Marine was this 115 Zaco by Electron, which is a nice alternative. It's not always about how much horsepower it can put out, it's also about application, all those nice things. So there's was diversity through this motor between it and Vision Marine. And last year, these two did kind of take it, but this year, not so much. Let me show you. Asel Power has put out their own very impressive line of electric outboards, ranging from 50 to 250 horsepower, with all the high-end accessories to boot. But my favorite one, simply for elegance of design and a deep dive into what makes it work, this small little disc here apparently can produce 200 horsepower. At around 400 volts, and they're apparently stackable. So here's 2, one after the other, and you can more or less guess what this is about to put out. But it's so impressive that something that small and lightweight is able to produce that amount of power. I mean, this is the whole unit that you just saw, and it's connected to a stern drive application. So in order to produce that type of power at close to 400 volts, you gotta wonder, what's under the hood powering it? It's this thing. Not terribly big, it's around 400 pounds, which weighs around the equivalent to what a large gas tank inside a fair-sized boat would weigh. You would probably want at least 2 of these to run effectively for a long range. So this might beg the question, why are so many electric outboards coming out more and more? What's the scoop? Why aren't people just sticking with gas outboards? Theoretically, they make more sense. Well, kind of, but maybe not. I mean, if they're starting to make the battery packs weigh about as much as what a full gas tank in one of these boats would achieve, for that amount of horsepower, sometimes it's about convenience. Apparently, you have to bring your own fuel to your dock slip if your boat is out of gas. And imagine how much gas some of these boats take, how miserable that would actually be. But there's generally a power bank in every slip and it's free, so your boat is always charged and ready to go whenever you want to use it. Plus, no more worrying about spark plugs, impellers, cold starts, gas going bad over time and ruining your motor. All that kind of goes away and it's just about convenience. But anyways, guys, this was the show. There were so many things there, so many cool stuff. I could not get through all of it if I wanted to, and a lot of it I don't think you guys would even care about. But I tried to cover the most relevant stuff, and electric outboards are something that we do that we're pretty familiar with. So just wanted to drop this video for you guys. Hope you like it. See ya.